Have you ever bought something you didn't really need, felt a little rush of excitement, and then, an hour later, felt strangely empty, maybe even a bit guilty? If that's ever happened to you, you're not alone. And it's not a willpower problem. It's not even really about money. It's about what's happening in your brain in the moment right before you click buy. We tend to think of spending as a simple equation. You have money, you decide whether to spend it, and that's that. Logical, controlled. But that's not how it actually works for most people. Underneath every purchase, especially the ones we regret, there's an emotional current running the show. A craving for relief, for comfort, for control, for identity. In this video, we're going to look at the real psychology behind why so many of us struggle to stop spending, even when we genuinely want to. And by the end, you'll probably recognize yourself in at least one of these patterns. That's not a bad thing. Recognizing the pattern is the first step to loosening its grip. For a lot of people, spending isn't really about the item. It's about the feeling that comes right before and right after the purchase. Psychologists call this retail therapy for a reason. In moments of stress, sadness, boredom, or even loneliness, spending money can give the brain a quick hit of relief. It's a small act of control in a moment that might otherwise feel out of control. You get to choose something. You get to feel, for just a few minutes, like things are a little better. The problem is that this relief is temporary. And the brain, having learned that spending equals comfort, will keep reaching for that same lever the next time those feelings show up. It's not weakness. It's a learned coping habit, the same way some people reach for food, or scrolling, or a drink when they're trying to soothe something underneath. Here's where it gets interesting biologically. The rush you feel when you're about to buy something, adding it to the cart, watching the countdown on a sale, anticipating the delivery, is largely driven by dopamine. And here's the twist. Dopamine peaks before the purchase, not after. That's why the thrill fades so quickly once the item arrives. The chemical high was never really about owning the thing. It was about the anticipation, which means, almost immediately, the brain starts looking for the next hit, the next deal, the next just one more thing. This is the same loop that makes notifications, social media, and games so compelling. Our brains are wired to chase anticipation, not satisfaction. Online shopping, with its endless scroll, sales countdowns, and one-click checkouts, is practically engineered around this loop. There's also a quieter, more emotional layer to this. The things we buy often say something about who we want to be or where we want to belong. Maybe it's the bag that makes you feel a little more put together, the gadget that makes you feel current, the clothes that make you feel like you fit in with a certain group or live up to a certain image of yourself. This isn't shallow, it's deeply human. We're social creatures, and a huge part of how we navigate the world is through symbols. What we wear, what we own, what we can show. The trouble is, when spending becomes the main way we try to feel enough, confident, accepted, successful, it can quietly turn into a cycle that's never quite satisfied, because the feeling it's chasing was never really about the object in the first place. And then there's one of the most common and most disarming thoughts that drives spending. I've had a hard week. I deserve this. On the surface, that sounds healthy, even kind to yourself. But notice what it's doing underneath. It's using a purchase to answer an emotional need. Exhaustion, stress, feeling unappreciated, that the purchase can't actually meet. It offers comfort in the moment, but it doesn't address what's actually tired or stretched thin or asking for rest. This isn't about never treating yourself. It's about noticing when "I deserve this" is genuinely a small joy, and when it's standing in for something deeper that's asking to be looked at. So if you've recognized yourself in any of this, the emotional relief, the anticipation high, the identity spending, the "I deserve this" loop, here's the most useful thing to take from it. The goal isn't to feel guilty about how you spend. Guilt rarely changes behavior. It just adds another uncomfortable feeling to the pile. The more useful move is noticing. The next time you feel the pull to buy something you hadn't planned on, pause for a moment and ask, what am I actually feeling right now? And what do I think this purchase is going to give me? Often, just naming that feeling honestly takes away some of its power. You may still choose to buy the thing, and that's okay. But you'll be choosing it consciously, rather than being quietly steered by a feeling you didn't quite see. That shift, from reacting to noticing, is where real change tends to start. Not through restriction, but through awareness. If any part of this felt familiar, you might also relate to a video I'm planning soon on why some people feel guilty spending money even on things they genuinely need. That one digs into a different side of this same emotional pattern. I'd love to know, which of these resonated most with you? The anticipation rush, the identity piece, or the I deserve this thought? Drop a comment below. I read everyone, and it genuinely shapes what I cover next. Thanks for spending this time here. I'll see you in the next one.